We are back here on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. Police accountability. I only speak for a living. We talk about it a lot, but we haven't seen much happening in Allegheny County. But there is a move afoot to address that issue. Two representatives of Allegheny County Council are here. DeWitt Walton, Paul Klein. Welcome to you both.
Good to be here.
Hi, Lynn.
So, where are we with this? I mean, we heard a lot about it. Where does it stand?
Real briefly. In August of last year, after the crisis was raging about Antoine Rose, we introduced a resolution in council to get permission and support of council to go out and host 4 public meetings to gauge sentiment across the county of whether or not this legislation was worthwhile, was needed, and should move forward into actual legislation. We conducted the 4 meetings across the county, heard comments from a wide range of residents of Allegheny County, and now on December 14th, my colleague Paul Klein and I introduced into council an actual ordinance. It is now sitting in the council. We have up until December, the end of December 2019, to actually bring it to the floor and pass it with a majority vote of council.
So you have a year. So Paul, what happens in that year?
And during that period of time? Well,
roughly, yeah.
Yeah, we've conducted these 4 meetings together to gain public input. And in the months ahead, I think that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to gain additional input from the public. We have talked about the possibility of another larger public meeting, public hearing downtown. That is something that we're looking at right now. And I think that we need to make sure that our colleagues whose support we will need will be informed and will be on board, and will end up having enough votes to turn this into law.
Yep. So you had these 4 town meeting kind of things, right?
Yes.
There were 4. The general consensus from the public was what?
We believe that the majority of the residents of Allegheny County support the legislation. There is concerted opposition to the legislation, but our sense of it is that most of the opposition doesn't come from on a factual basis, but perceptions. Because again, the document is transparent. The document doesn't attempt to minimize any authority of any municipality. What it does is require accountability and a process that any citizen of this county, any resident in this county, can file a complaint, and that complaint must, from the date that that complaint is filed, it must be investigated by the independent review board.
Okay. So then, Paul, tell me how, other than the jurisdictional issues, how does what is being proposed for the county differ in philosophy or approach from what already exists in the city?
Well, at the county level, we're talking about obviously a more expansive community.
And a lot of independent
absolutely.
agencies.
I mean, there are as many, and it changes, as 105 municipalities that have police forces, sometimes as small as 1.
Right.
But the real challenge is that there are legal hurdles to get over. So, for example, the county does not have jurisdiction over those police departments that are outside of the Allegheny County Police. So that is a real challenge. But I think in many respects, policing is changing in the county. And we're finding, for example, right now, the borough of Wilmerding, county police are walking the streets in Wilmerding right now. And we're expecting that other communities that are facing difficult financial challenges will need help. I mean, there's a fair amount of consolidation going on between communities, but they're probably going to need help. And I think that the county police are going to find themselves doing work that they have not done before in more communities. So I think we're trying to be proactive here, and we're trying to build and create something that will prepare us for the changes that, you know, inevitably will come going forward.
And DeWitt, so this review board, are these elected positions? Are they appointed positions? Or am I jumping too far ahead?
No, you're not. The review board, as proposed, will be a body of 9 individuals, 6 of which will be appointed by county council, 3 of which will be appointed by the county executive. Of that 9, 2 individuals must have prior law enforcement experience. One of those individuals will either have a legal background with criminal defense or experience as an auditor, because the board itself will have the ability to function as two roles: one as an investigative agency, and second as an authority that has the ability to conduct audits and reviews policies and procedures. There are a host of things that are included in the legislation, and I urge everyone to get copies, which are available at the county council office.
Okay.
You call us, and we'll send it to you.
Okay.
We want to engage in a transparent process, and we believe that everyone benefits by having that agency.
Having this done. I don't want to run out of time. I'm just curious, do we know where the county executive is on this?
Well, I think our sense is that he is supportive.
Okay.
I mean,
I didn't mean that to be a loaded question.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think from the get-go, we did reach out to the county executive, and I think that I think that he is with us. I think that what we have proposed is very balanced. I don't think that it is punitive in nature, which so many people are concerned about when they hear Civilian Police Review Board. And I think that more than anything, it's really forward-looking, and it's open to the realities that we will face in policing in the years ahead.
Okay, so we're going to be hearing about this for the next year until December of 19. I'm thinking you two are going to have to come back, because I have a myriad of other questions. Like, I know sometimes the city has difficulty getting the police to cooperate. So I think there's a whole lot of other things we need to talk about. So you're just going to have to come back.
Lynn, we welcome the opportunity. We want to share information. We want to be transparent. And most importantly, we want clear, concise, and honest information put forth to the public.
There you go. And folks can get a copy of it by calling the county council office.
Yes.
And you'll send it.
Yes.
We will.
Awesome. We'll take a commercial break. When we come back, a cannabis town meeting. What's that all about? Stick around.